Hey guys, and welcome to a brand new video. Today I'm going to be bringing you a full guide for Splatoon 2 full of tips and tricks to help you become a better player. Now this video is going to be split into three main sections: general tips for the entire game, and then there'll be Turf War tips which are specific to Turf War, and ranked battle tips which are specific to ranked battles. So to kick off this tips and tricks video, we have what I think is the most important tip. You must use motion controls. They're far better than stick controls, even if you're not used to them at all. You can react to things way faster because the movement with a camera that is gained by using motion is significantly better than the movement you would have with stick controls. Take a 180 degree turn for example. You can do that a lot faster with motion controls because you aren't limited by the sensitivity of your control sticks. Now, a YouTuber by the name of Dude has made a full video on the topic of motion controls, and if you want to learn more about motion controls, definitely give that video a watch. It is very useful and helped me make the switch from stick controls to motion controls. It will be the top link in the description. Now, when it comes to picking a weapon, you need to think carefully about it. Will it work on the specific mode you're planning to play? If not, pick something else for that mode. You can have different weapons for each mode. For example, lots of people use brushes in Clan Blitz, but then something else in the other modes. This is a good way to use different weapon classes if you like a lot of weapons. Some of the weapons you like will work better on different modes, so you can use a different weapon for each mode if you really want to. Now once you've picked a weapon, you want to know the pros and cons of that weapon. Fully understanding your weapon allows you to become much better with it because you know what situations will be a bad idea with it, and it will also allow you to learn similar weapons in that same weapon class, such as if you've picked a splatter shot, you might be able to use an NZAP, as I think they're quite similar. Once you've learnt your own weapon, you want to learn the flaws of other weapons, specifically flaws. If you know what a weapon struggles with, you can use that to your advantage. For example, taking a sniper and going up close to it, because they're bad at close range, so if you're close to it, you're going to probably come out on top. Now this is all well and good, but where do I actually learn about the weapons? Now I think the easiest way to do this is watching weapon guides, which you can find all over YouTube, because the person making a weapon guide is generally going to have a lot of knowledge about that weapon and probably going to be able to give you lots of tips for that weapon and also tell you what's bad about the weapon if you want to learn flaws of other weapons. Next method is more specific to using your own weapon to test, and when you're in the equip menu or even in ammo nights on a weapon you haven't purchased yet, you can press Y and it allows you to go into this little testing area. It is on screen now, and as you can see there are dummies and lots of area that you can just practice with the weapon, and I find it's a really useful practical way without having to go in tons of games and lose all of them. Now if you still want to actually go into an actual game to test your weapon, you can do this. I just recommend you do it on Turf War so you don't annoy your team in ranked battles, because if you're using a weapon you don't know, you're probably not going to do that well. Now once you've learnt weapons, you want to also learn stages. Now one of the ways to do this is insanely easy. It's literally just play them and you'll eventually over time learn the layouts and the common places people will come. But there is another way to do this that not that many people know about. When you're in the lobby you can press Y and this takes you into recon mode, which as you can see on screen right now puts you in the stage by yourself and gives you the freedom to do whatever you want. Now a really simple trick that might sound too simple is just play the game. It will help you become better if you keep playing over and over and over again, because you'll get more experience and that's how you get better at stuff. Now in my opinion this is the easiest tip in the entire video. Watch other people play the game, ideally people who are better than you. For example, I watch competitive players all the time because quite a lot of the tactics they use are the best tactics in the game, so if I try replicate them and use them in my own gameplay, they can help me become better and learn new techniques that I would have never learned otherwise. Now as well as learning from other people and your own successes, you want to learn from other people and your own failures. If someone's failing or you're failing, there's a reason behind it, and if you can find out that reason, it's a very good way to improve. Now a pretty big mechanic in this game is super jumping, and there are lots of mistakes people make with it. Now when you're actually using the super jump, you first want to make sure the area you're jumping to is safe. If there's lots of enemies around that player that you're jumping to, you're likely going to be killed the second you land. And also, you don't want to super jump near the very end of a game, because you're probably not going to land in time to do anything. It's probably best to just ink the turf around you. Also a thing I see people doing is when someone's super jumping near them that isn't on their own team, they just sit and wait and then shoot them as they land. An easier way to do this is just throw a bomb on the launch pad area that they're going to land at, because then the second they land, the bomb explodes and they have no chance of escaping unless they're a dually and also have drop roll. Speaking of bombs, make use of them. They're a very useful sub-weapon and quite a lot of weapons have them. For example, when I use the hero shot, I can splash down and then while I'm in the splashdown throw a bomb. People don't expect it and it's an easy way to get kills sometimes. Auto bombs can force your enemies to move away, especially in splat zones. You can throw them in the splat zone and then your enemies have to move away or they'll be killed. This can allow you to take the zone very easily as no one will be left there after you've knocked them all out of the way. Now there's my favourite bomb, the suction bombs. Now why do I like suction bombs so much? Because place them in an unexpected area, such as the bottom of grates, and you're very likely going to get a kill. There's loads of other places too, such as just around a corner. Someone might swim around a corner when they're chasing you, and suddenly they blow a suction bomb and boom, they're dead. Splat bombs also work like this, other than you can't put them on the bottom of grates, but I find because they explode faster, if you even throw them on the top of grates, people cannot have enough time to run away, so it gets them anyway. Plus, if you're trying to run away from someone, just drop a splat bomb and that'll slow them down because they have to stop and wait for it to explode. Now on to specials. First of all, a lot of people think ballers make them completely immortal. They don't. If someone can hit you enough, your baller will just disappear without it even exploding, and then you're left very vulnerable to be killed because you're not in your own ink. Also with the splashdown, although lots of people use it as a panic button, you can actually be killed while you're in the process of doing a splashdown. Although a good thing about a splashdown is if you super jump and then splash down as you land, it can get quite a few kills and works quite well. Although I seem to be unable to use this. I get killed by it quite often, so it definitely works. And another tip with specials is don't use them right in front of your enemies, specifically Tenta missiles like I have done here, and also Stingray. You'll get killed if you use it in front of your enemies because you don't have time to finish using it, and they can splat you because they have the freedom of their main weapon while you don't. Now the final thing about specials is how easy it is to refill your ink with them. As soon as you use your special, your ink tank is instantly refilled. It allows you to do things like this with sub-saver up. As you can see, I've just thrown 4 bombs with 1 ink tank because I had my special. And although I don't generally use it that much in actual gameplay, if you use that on splat zones, you could easily take the entire zone if it's one big one like the one in Sturgeon Shipyard or in lots of other maps such as the Reef. Now we're moving on to the 2 tips I have for Tier 4. They're both pretty simple, but I thought I'd mention them anyway, since this is a full guide full of all the tips and tricks I know. The first one is for when you're winning, you want to check the map in case enemies have snuck past you and are covering the rest of the map without you noticing. This can make you lose the game without even realising it, so opening the map prevents that, and obviously you want to win your games, don't you? When you're losing, you want to sneak past your enemies and hope that they don't follow the previous tip and check their map, because if you can get past without them noticing, you can cover up all the other side of the map, and if you do this near the end, they won't even have time to cover it back up, which can result in a victory. Now moving on to the final few tips for ranked battles. Now my first one is pretty simple, but it is to play the objective. Even I fail to do this myself sometimes, because I'm too busy trying to get kills, and behind me the enemy team has the splat zone or is getting a clam and taking it to our barrier, while I'm busy trying to kill the ones that are just respawning in front of me. It doesn't help me win the game, it just gets me a ton of kills, which isn't what the game's about. Now this is a really good tip. It works both at the start and at any point in the game. You want to flank around and kill your enemies from behind where they won't be expecting it. For example, on here I got this slosher by swimming up to their spawn and then going on that little higher section and jumping down when they didn't expect me to, because they thought I was running away. Example of this at the start of the game is, while I don't have gameplay for it, in Rainmaker you can swim to the side. I do this on Moray Towers. You swim to the left and then you throw a bomb up the ramp, and it can get them when they're all busy trying to pop the Rainmaker's shield. You'll blow a bomb up and they won't even notice, and boom, you've wiped the whole team and you're winning the game. Now for ranked battles, you want to use the weapons you're good with. If you're using a weapon you're not very good with, this can hurt your team and end up you losing. I mentioned this earlier in the bit about learning weapons. Practice weapons in Tier 4, not in ranked battles. Now the next 3 tips are all about Rainmaker, and sadly I don't have any gameplay to show you these tips in action because Rainmaker wasn't in the rotations when I got chance to play. First of all, when you're losing really badly and they're really close to your podium, if you get the Rainmaker, it can be a good idea to suicide off the edge of the map, because that will reset the Rainmaker and put it back to the middle, where it will be easier for you to keep it out of your spawn. Now, the next one is pretty simple. Actually pick up the Rainmaker. There's loads of games I play where no one picks up the Rainmaker. I'm guilty of this too, because lots of people don't want to lose the freedom of their main weapon, so they don't pick up the Rainmaker. Leaving the Rainmaker behind is a really bad thing, because the whole point of Rainmaker is to pick it up and take it to your enemy's side of the map. When you finally do pick the Rainmaker up, the guy with the Rainmaker is a very easy target. Because of this, you want to stick with them and make a route for them to get to the podium, so while they're swimming, you can focus on defending them and killing the people that try to get close, and it's a really good way to push up right to the podium and win the game. Now, that is every tip I have for this game. You may have more. If you do, please let me know down below, as it will be very interesting for me, because I always want to improve at this game as well as anyone watching this does. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to click the like button. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.